Hello everyone, my name is Alex, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up an interactable actor in Unreal Engine VR using C++. In my last video I showed you guys how to do it in Blueprint, and I will actually go ahead and leave a link to that. I think it'll be up here. If you want to check that out, if you prefer Blueprint over C++ for, whatever reason. Before I go and jump into the video, if you like the video, you want to help out the channel, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll go and jump right into the video. Alright, so I've gone ahead and opened up the Unreal Engine project. I already have everything in here. So we're going to actually be building off of the grabbing tutorial that I've actually done. Again, that's the video I've done, so I'll leave a link to that up above. But yeah, so we'll be building off of what I did in that video in order to create a brand new actor that is derived off of the grippable actor that I had done in that tutorial. So I've already gone ahead. The scene should pretty much all be set up. I've already set it to auto possess. This is the correct player, I believe. Player pawn. Wait, this is not the correct player. Oh, yes it is. My bad. But anyway, so everything's all set up. So first thing we're going to want to do is actually go and create. We'll only be creating one new actor for this one. So we go and do new actor. Actually, go back. Because actually it's not an actor we want to create. So if you actually go and show all classes, we can actually find the grippable actor that we actually created in that tutorial. So grippable actor, and then go ahead next. And we'll go and name it interactable actor, and we'll go and create that. And I'll go and let this let it add the code to the project and do everything it needs to do, and then be back in a sec. Alright, so took a little while, but everything all compiled, and it added all the code to the project, all that fun stuff. I made a few quick changes I want to go over real quick. If you've been following along the tutorials that I've been doing, I changed the bindings to interact left and interact right. If you'll recall, this was originally meant for the widget interaction. I actually disabled that for now. All the functions are still here though. I just disabled it for now. And then I also created a couple new functions, interact left and interact right, which don't actually do anything yet. I've just created them for now. I don't believe I've done anything to the motion controller from what I recall. All that should still be fine. However, we will be messing around with that later on in order to actually create the interaction. And then finally, this is actually where we're going to start, is with the interactable actor. Quick note, I did actually create this constructor. It does not, when you create a derived class off of one that you've already created, it doesn't actually come with a constructor or anything, so I actually went ahead and added that in because we will need to do something real quick with that. And we'll also need to create another function here in a sec, but I figured I'd go ahead and give that a second as well. So here we go. Something I did remember though, we do want to make this public. And then, yeah, so we're going to go and start off. First thing I want to do is I actually want to create a U material. The reason being is, for the purpose of this tutorial, you might want your interaction to do something specific, but I'm just going to make it change the material of the current mesh that we have. So if we actually go ahead, jump in here, we're going to want to make sure we have an include real quick, and it is actually materials/material.h, and this is what we need to actually create a U material. And we'll want to make this public as well. I'll actually put this before, no, I'll put it after the constructor. And we'll go and call it material to change. And there we go. However, since we're going to want to be able to edit this in the editor, well, technically you don't have to. However, I find that is the easiest way. There is an alternative called, if I recall, it's called constructor helper. And that can be used to simply go in and find a specific file from the project and set that. I'm not going to bother doing that, however. Why is there an error here? I have an error there. I'm not entirely sure why, but I will figure that out here in a second. But going back to what I was saying, we're going, in order to actually access it in the editor, that's where uProperty comes in. So you've probably, if you don't understand why I've been putting this, visible anywhere, the reason being is that if you don't put it as visible anywhere, you won't see it in the editor. Or you may, depending on the object, you may, and it may just not, it may be grayed out. Which is why visible anywhere is usually what I, at the very minimum, do, because it makes it so you can at the very least see it. So in order to actually get this done, there's actually going to be a couple more parameters we're going to want to add in. So we'll first go and create the uProperty, and we want to make it edit anywhere. This will allow us to edit it in the editor wherever we use it, in other actors, whatever. It'll allow for us to easily edit that without having a problem. And the last thing we're going to want to add in as well is the function which I mentioned, and this one we will actually call, actually first we're going to want to make sure it's void, run interaction. Actually, let's just say run action. And what this is going to be meant to do is, if you ever decide to do, other interactions, derive off of what this is, basically take interactable actor, make a gun, wand, whatever. We can just call this function, and then we can override it in other classes, in other actors that we make in the future. And just use it without having to edit the pawn or the hand or anything else any further. So that's that. We'll go ahead and I'll go and let go and create the definition for me. So before we actually jump into this function, however, we do need to jump over here, and we need to make sure that uMaterial is actually created in the material to change is actually initialized correctly. So we'll go and material to change is equal to create default subobject uMaterial, and we're going to give it a nice text real quick. New material is what we'll call it. I'll get rid of the space. And there we go. So that's that. Now, if we actually go and jump back over into our grippable actor real quick, I just want to take a look at something real quick. We can actually see this is our static mesh. So the static mesh has material that we're going to want to change. So we want to make sure that we can reference this in our interactable actor, which shouldn't be a problem. We should be able to grab it no problem. So if we actually go and grab static mesh, there we go. And then this is the part I do forget. Yes, I was correct. And then we get to set material. So you can actually see it has two parameters here. First one being element index, and then the second one being a uMaterial interface. Let me first go over the element index real quick. So certain meshes can have more than one material. So for example, if you designed it in a certain way, you could have like one material edits the arm, one edits the chest, or maybe if it's a triangle, you have one edits one corner of the triangle, one edits another, things like that. However, because I've actually already added in the interactable actor into the scene, I'm only planning on using a cube, and you can actually see there's only one element that we can enter, and it's element 0. So 0 is the one we're going to want to edit. So we're going to submit that as our index. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is the material to change. And you can see it fits right in as the material interface. So it should have no problem whatsoever. So later on, once we go to compile it, it should then take the material to change that we set later on in the editor, and it should change the material when we interact with it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and jump over to the motion controller. And this is where we're actually going to want to call that function. It does get kind of confusing because we're basically calling a function from the player to the hands and then to the interactable actor, which can make it a little bit messy, but I do find that this is the best way. If you can at the really start it from the player, that does tend to be the best way. But the reason I want to run it through the hand is we're first going to want to make sure that we actually have an interactable actor in our hand before we call the function, otherwise it'll cause an error later on. So we're going to want to create a quick function. We'll call it interact is what we'll call it. So we'll go ahead and use this. Let's go and jump down to here, and we'll go and create the function. Alright, so here is where we're actually going to want to first make sure that that we do have an interactable actor in our hand, and then assuming we do, then we're going to want to call that function. We'll cast to the interactable actor and then call it. I'll go over that here as we're going through this. So first thing, we should, if I recall. No, I did do it differently. So I had assumed I had done it similarly to how I did in the blueprint, and I didn't, which is which isn't a big deal. We can do it similar to how we did in release. It does kind of it does kind of change how things are done, but it's not a problem. So a actor attached actors. Essentially this first part I'm just going to be copying what's in the release because we want to grab any attached actors. Get attached actors, not that. And then for a door, all right. So this was the simple part. So what we're doing here is when we actually go up to grab something right here, then what we're actually doing is we're attaching it to our static mesh. So by actually getting any attached actors, we can actually find if we have something attached to our hands. So assuming that we do, we can actually go through go through each item we have attached, which presumably we should only have one. But this will make sure in case we do have more, or if you for some reason intend on having more than one, this will go through and get others that you may have, and then it'll store it in the T array, which we made right here. So going through that, we're then going to want to grab. We're going to want to search through them and see get class. I think it's lowercase. No, I was wrong. So is child of, and here actually real quick, we're going to need to make sure we have an include to the interactable actor, otherwise this will cause a small error here. I put too many. actor.h. H. So that way we can be sure we can actually find it here. So then we're going to want to do a interactable actor static class. And that should be all good. Did I forget the parentheses there? Yes, I did. Okay, so should be. So in case you don't understand, this is basically going to check whatever actor we found attached, and just check its class to see if it's a child of interactable actor, which is good because again, going back to if you decide to make more interactable actors that are derived off this base class, then what it'll end up doing is it'll check it to see if at some point it's derived off of interactable actor. So even if you're based, several layers down, you made gun, and then you made off of that you made machine gun and pistol and all that. You can keep going down, and it'll eventually still find that at its core somewhere it is an interactable actor, which is exactly what we want, because we need to be sure that we can cast to it, which is where we get to here. So first we're going to want to go and store this actor. We'll call it I actor. I short for interactable. And then we'll want to go and cast to it. We'll want to cast to it as an interactable actor. And we'll be casting to A actor. So this will just take our A actor and convert it from an actor to an interactable actor, which will allow for us to get this function and call it. So all we can do is I actor dot what did I call it? Interact, right? Run action. That's what it was. Run action. Oh. There we go. So that's basically all that we needed. So it'll go through, it'll grab any actors we have attached, check to see go through each actor that we have attached, presumably only one, see if it's an interactable actor. If it is, we cast to it, and then we run the action that we want to. Pretty simple, pretty well, not necessarily self-explanatory, but pretty straightforward, I guess. So there we go. And then this is the easy part. Since we already have the binding set up and everything, we can actually go down here to interact left, and all we need to do is grab left controller, and then interact is what I called it, right? I think. Yes, it is. Okay, I just had to double check there. And then again for the right controller. And there we go. So I'll go ahead, compile this, and then we'll go and do a quick setup in the scene, and be back in a sec. Alright, so we're back. Everything compiled, no errors or anything. So there's no changes we need to make to the player pawn, but there is one we need to make to the interactable actor. And I do want to note this, I didn't have this issue, but it's one that I have seen in the past when messing around with Unreal Engine. Sometimes actors that are already in the scene won't automatically update, and I found two ways to basically force them to update. One way is to completely restart the project. Sometimes that works. I found that doesn't always work for me. The second one, which is a little bit more tedious if you have a bunch of the same actors, none of them updated, is to redrop them in. But I have had issues with that in the past where sometimes it'll all compile correctly, but it won't automatically update in the scene unless you actually force it to somehow. But anyways, going into here, you can see we have our material to change, and I'm actually gonna do this one, the arc endpoint. It'll be nice and obvious. We won't have any issues there. So we'll go ahead and check this real quick. That should be the only change we really need to make. So let's go ahead, throw on the headset real quick. My headset disconnected for a second, so I had to real quick restart TeamVR. And I probably should have disabled the widget. I had forgotten about that. Since I disabled it, this doesn't work anymore. But the functions are all still there. It's not a problem. But the interaction works perfectly fine, and I can beat things away. Yeah. So there you go. Everything, works as it should. Other than the fact that if you were to do this, you'd probably want to get rid of the widget interaction component, because that is a bit obnoxious to have there. It was just something I'd forgotten about. But yeah, there you go. So if you enjoyed the video, you liked it, want to support the channel, anything like that, subscribe, like, really much helps out, and see you in the next one.